My name is Jackie Olvera Rojas, well Jacqueline, but everybody calls me Jackie. And I am the School Operations Manager for Robert F. Kennedy Community Schools, which is located right in the center of downtown LA at the side of the former Ambassador Hotel. Have you guys ever been there to the school? We've had a lot of meetings there. Let's go around and introduce ourselves.
I'm Liz Powers. I would work with Global Education Collaborative, and we have 3 charter schools, and our third one that we're opening this fall is going to be co-located with Loyola.
Excellent.
I'm Arturo Garcia, State Organization and the Director of Operations.
Excellent.
I'm Loyola Geiger. I'm with LAUSD Charter Schools Division.
Excellent.
And Prop 39.
Okay, good. I know Sean's really good.
Right.
Yeah. And then I know that Cynthia is the new operations coordinator for Miguel Contreras. So she's going to come in and join us in a minute. Cynthia Vega. Okay, so the objective for today, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stand over here while we're working on this because is basically to get a general understanding of the roles and responsibilities of an operations manager at a co-located campus. It's pretty straightforward. And to provide possibly my recommendations for alternate strategies on how to handle such needs when you don't have a budget to hire a dedicated person to that job. So these are some of the facts. At RFK, we have 6 co-located pilot schools. We have 4,000 students. We service students from grades transitional kinder to 12th grade. We have over 250 classrooms. That doesn't include conference rooms and other rooms. 100 restrooms. We have the most restrooms in all of LAUSD. We have 24 acres, and we have multiple start times and end times, and we have multiple nutrition and lunch schedules, and we have multiple shared after-school programs that include program providers. So we have Educare, Beyond the Bell, we have City Year, we have Woodcraft Rangers. So in addition to all the challenges that I deal with during the school day, we also have shared responsibilities after school. Okay, and one of your handouts that I gave you shows a sample of our schedule. That's the yellow one. That's our schedule, our daily schedule from last year. It's not going to change too much this year. So as you can see, we have so many different people starting on different days, and their PD days fall on different days as well. They're not all on Tuesdays. The only day that we all come out at the same time is on Thursdays. So every day we have to fluctuate the schedule for supervision and dismissal and arrival times. Okay, huge challenge. These are our shared spaces that we share among the entire campus, elementary and secondary. Phase 2 we refer to as the secondary part of the campus, and phase 1, because they opened in 2009, is the elementary part of the campus. And it's actually a lower part of the campus. So we have the Coconut Grove Secondary Library, elementary multi-purpose room, the middle school dining room, high school dining room, middle school gym, high school gym, faculty lounge, red room, conference room, the Welcome Center conference room, and an RFK professional development lab. And so the middle school dining room, high school dining room, and the faculty lounge are also, they were actually designed to be meeting space as well, so that they can be used for dual purposes. So how do you manage such a site when you have multiple schedules, shared spaces, 4,000 students every day? It's a challenge. How do you do that? And you have 6 administrators and their staff and multiple programs. So this is the RFK organization chart. So we have the school administrators and principals, and I work under them, and then they have their staff, their SAAs, their coordinators, their APs, their teaching staff, and I oversee the non-instructional student support services, the managed shared positions, and I also manage the shared services while they take care of their school, their instructional program, their student needs for their individual school. So this is a further breakdown of my position. So I take care of M&O, facilities, library services, food services, etc. I manage the shared positions as well. I directly manage the Welcome Center manager and campus aides. That's direct supervision, where I actually do their evaluations, but I oversee the remaining shared staff, okay? I work, for example, with the plan manager. If I have a problem with a staff member from the custodial team, then I work with the plan manager and the CPM. And then we try to fix the problem, or we go for discipline. The same thing with the cafeteria manager. I work with the food services supervisor. So I work with the manager at the school site and their manager, their supervisor. And then I also manage the shared services, which is enrollment, huge. That's probably the most important one to me, is enrollment, to make sure that we equitably distribute the students so that everybody gets their fair share. I organize and conduct the building council every week. This is actually going to change this year. We're trying to focus more on instruction and get away from operations, because everything in operations is kind of already in motion. The first couple of years we were a brand new building, and you can imagine we had so many structural issues and just logistical issues that we had to deal with, that now we're really at a point where we want to do best practices amongst the different schools. Okay? And then budget, I do budget for the shared positions, payroll, purchasing for shared, everything is dealing with just the shared positions and shared sites. Okay? So this is just an example of what I do. For site supervision, I do the scheduling, payroll, staff relations, personnel. I did staff relations twice. And these are the people that I actually deal with. And these are all in the handout. For food services, I also do scheduling. So you can see that the overlapping responsibilities are scheduling, which means how we work the system out so that we're not all amongst each other. So there is some overlap, and you'll see that in your schedule, where there's some overlap, like where one lunch will come out and another will come out, but there's only a 15-minute overlap. So while one's in line, the other one's already eating. And that is truly an art to get these people to come together and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Because sometimes somebody has to give. Something has to give, and somebody has to say, all right, I'm going to move 10 minutes more, for the day. And so this is what I do. It's a busy, busy site, as you can imagine. And so some of the benefits, I would say, that it allows the principals to focus on their individual schools regarding their instructional program and focus on increasing student achievement, which is our goal. And it gives the principals and their staff the opportunity to, provide personalized, not just behavioral. I was going to change it, but I was afraid to tweak the PowerPoint. If you make one little change, it messes it all up. But also their social and emotional needs. We have a lot of that because we're in the inner city, and we have a lot of kids that come and go. We have a lot of newcomers. That's exactly where they start off at, and then a year later they move. And so there's a lot of that need. The social emotional need is there. So it gives the schools a chance to deal with that. Equitable distribution of students, again, very important. Equitable distribution of revenue from funding. So I generate the funding from leasing, donations, and civic center. And then I manage that. So we pay for the lifeguard out of that, for example. Or we pay for custodial supplies because we're very short in that area. So I'll buy the extra toilet paper, paper towels, and such. And we pay for the overtime that we need to supervise for after school events. And we also pay for supplies for the Welcome Center and such. And then I'm a neutral person on site. I'm the mediator. I'm the one that sits at the building councils and tries to get everybody to work together. We have a really good team, and they're very focused on working together and collaborating. Like I said, they want to start focusing more on instruction. So I'm the person that sits at the table because I have nothing to gain or lose. I'm the middle person. And then if there's a problem with one school, for example, a discipline issue, two kids get in a fight, I'm the one that will try to sit with both principals or work with one principal and then work with the other one to try to figure out what we're going to do to meet those needs. Okay, and then I'm the point person for the site. So if somebody wants to come in to meet with the principals to sell a program, they have to come to me first. If they want to lease the site, they have to come to me first. So that the principals don't deal with any of that stuff. So I'm the frontline person that they have to talk to if there's any concerns and they don't want to talk to the principal necessarily, they'll come to me and then I'll try to fix the problem. Or I'll try to talk to the principal about it, or if I have to refer them to the district, I'll take care of that as well. So that's a huge weight off of the principals. They don't have to deal with that. So what do you do if you can't afford an operations manager? Because it is a cost. I mean, they're, I'm a position, they have to pay for me, and it's not a position that is in, the full-time employee roster that the district offers the schools. So these are just based on recommendations. I don't know what happened there. Okay. So option one, let's just say with 2 small schools. So you would have the principals, the SAA, and an senior office tech. They normally call the position, the SAA, as super SAA. So it's the one SAA for the 2 schools.
What's SAA?
The school administrative assistant, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. And so the principals will equally distribute the responsibilities for like M&O facilities, library service, and nursing services, so they'll all take on those areas. Right now, I take all of that on. But if you don't have my position, then you would distribute it equally. And then the SAA would be responsible for the enrollment of both schools, so that's what you make sure that it's fair for everybody. They'll manage the shared income and distribution of funds, civic center and donations. Distribution of keys is always very important at a school site. And manage the shared calendar, I do that as well. And the purchasing for shared needs. And then the senior office techs would do what an SAA would normally do at their school site. They would do the actual registration, queuing folders, record keeping, all of that stuff. So this is working very well at Mendez. Mendez has this configuration. So the SAA takes care of a lot of stuff that I take care of, and then the principals take on other responsibilities, and then the senior office techs just take care of their individual schools. And they have been pretty successful, but they don't have 6 schools, and they're not K-12. They have 4 schools, and they have half the amount of students that we have. But it is working. This is option 2, and this is with the school operations coordinator, which is your position, right, Cynthia? So that's a certificated position. The other position is using, so they have my position, is now en Miguel Contreras, but they're using a certificated, right? Yeah. So basically the certificated person would do what I do, except that they can also supervise classrooms, they can sub in a classroom if need be, they can go to field trips and supervise, and they can actually become like a pseudo dean, all right? That wasn't the vision for our school, that's not what we wanted at our school. Okay, but some schools that will work. At other schools, it just depends on what the needs are. I know one school had a school operations manager there for 1 year, and it didn't work out there. So they got a coordinator there because they wanted that person to supervise the athletic events. Totally different vision, totally different needs, because the responsibility is still on the principals to take care of all these other areas. And so that's what the teachers wanted, and that's what they went for. So the operations coordinator would do all of that, and then the SA would be responsible at each one of the schools to do the payroll and such. Okay, and principals will distribute the non-instructional functions of the day. So these are my recommendations. To establish site-wide policies regarding the code of conduct, dress code, and site-wide expectations. We do that every year. We have a retreat. Actually, that's what we were doing earlier today. And we go through all of the expectations that we have, and we establish policy, and we all have to come in agreement. And everybody has to implement that. Well, there's no way to force anybody to do it, but we don't walk away from the table until we all come to an agreement. One way or the other. Caps. Caps are a big thing. In high school, it's huge because in a high school, what you're wearing on your head can indicate whether you're in a gang or not. Even if you're not, if you're wearing a Dodgers hat in our school, you're a target. So we don't have any kind of hats at all except RFK hats. So to get the principals to agree on that the first year was very difficult because we have 2 art schools, a visual arts and a theater arts. And they're like, we're trying to have our kids have expression and creativity, and we're stifling that by telling them this and telling. So then we started to work with the police department, and they started to come down, and then they started to tell us, no, this is not safe in our area. We have MS and 18th Street is across the street, so we have a very clear divide on Wilshire, divides the gangs. So we're like, things are good here, we want to keep it like that, no hats. So finally the principals came around and they all agreed, okay? It's harder to get the kids to agree to that. We're constantly telling them, no, take your hat off, but it's much, much better than it was the first year. And then you also have the dress code. You know, you have to make sure that the kids are dressed appropriately. We only have uniforms for elementary through middle school. And then high school, they have free dress code, so you know what happens then. The girls come in with like short shorts that are like underwear. The tops, the see-through tops. Right now, that's in that real light material, and the girls just wear, you know, practically nothing underneath. So we all have to be on the same page. And it doesn't matter what school the kid's from, you have to say, you know, you got to go put a t-shirt on. And so that takes a while to build that culture and have everybody come on board, because at the beginning they're like, oh, that's not my student. I'm like, that doesn't fly here. I had one principal tell me, I just want to take care of my school only. I go, then you don't belong here. You need to go somewhere else, because that's not going to happen here. So then just working with her and stuff like that, she finally came around. And so, I mean, it's a work in progress. So we also meet weekly with the school administrative team. It's called Building Council. And we talk about a lot of action items. For example, the HAP policy, if we see that they're not following it, that's when we sit down, we discuss it again. Or if we're gonna do a project that's site-wide, implement new processes, that's when we discuss it. And then we also have to establish a policy for site-wide discipline implementation. So that if there's a fight on campus between two different schools, we all have the same process. One school can't suspend a kid while the other one is in the classroom. So we all have to come to an agreement as to what we're gonna do to manage that type of situation. And it happens throughout the school year. It doesn't happen a lot, we're very fortunate, but it does come up. And what are you gonna do? We cannot have one school have one policy in place while the other one is doing something different. That really disrupts, it causes a wave in what we're doing. Okay, and then we also have to establish a policy to ensure the equitable distribution of students, which is a challenge because our school in particular, we have the two elementary schools have dual language programs, but one doesn't. So if you're full in first grade, which we are, and you have a parent that comes in and says, I absolutely, positively do not want dual language. I don't want my kids to speak Spanish and Korean, Spanish and English, or Korean and English. What are you going to do? You have to put the kid in the school that doesn't have a dual language program by default, because you can't force the parent. So that's something that we deal with on a daily basis. And our elementary numbers are bursting. They are off the charts. We don't know why, but we hope it's because we're doing a good job. But they are bursting. They're off the charts. And we also, very important to me, right here, establish an MOU on the school protocols, vision, and mission. Since I started with RFK, we started in 2010. I helped to open the school. I was there for the first day for phase 2 for the secondary part. We're down to one principal, one original principal. So every time a new principal has to come on board, and if I'm not part of the interview process to let them know how our school runs, you have to start all over again. You have to start why do we do that? Why do I have to talk to you if I want the plan manager to do something for me? So it's like educating them all over again. So my push is to have an MOU so that when a new principal comes to interview, they read the expectations of the school. So when they come in, they know what they're getting into. And they know that we run school differently. It's not a regular school. We have one principal that just started, not just, but I think a year and a half ago he started, and he came and he goes, what do you mean? I can't ask that custodian to come and move my boxes. I go, you can't do that. He has a schedule. If you want that, we have to schedule it. He has to come in. It's not that easy because while he's moving your boxes and taking 2 hours to do that, he's not doing what he's assigned to do for those 2 hours. Who's going to do that job? So just those kind of things that you don't really think about until it actually happens. So this is very important, and this is something that I've talked to the district about, and I'm hoping that they'll move forward so that whether it's co-located with a charter and a district or pilot schools or whatever, that there's an MOU in place for the school so that when they come in, everybody understands and agrees what they're signing up for. Okay? And that was very fast. Do you guys have any questions? Any specific questions that I can answer? I also gave you guys a copy of our campus so that you can get an idea of what's there and how it's spread out. And I gave you a hard copy of my job description.
Okay.
Cynthia, you might find that helpful.
How many operations managers are there?
You know what, I don't know anymore. It has not been a very, I think there was 3 of us, and I think I'm the only one right now. I'm pretty sure.
And it's up to the school to decide?
It's up to the school to decide if they're gonna hire one.
And it comes out of their budget?
Yes. So each school, the way they pay for my position is that they all contribute depending on their enrollment numbers. So like one school only has 400 kids, so they pay 10% of my salary. While another one has 1,100, they pay 28%. So it depends on that. And they take a vote every year. My year is year to year. I'm classified, but I'm year to year. I mean, they could definitely say, I don't want to pay for that next year, and then they just shut down the position.
And then what happens to you?
I don't know, that hasn't happened to me yet. I've managed to stay in there. So, I mean, the principals really, they appreciate what I do there because it takes so much off of their plate. It takes so, like this year we had a question about how to revamp the way we do things, and because they really want to take it away from focus on operations and move to instruction. So what can we do to help, blah, blah, blah. And so some of them were raising their hands, well, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? And one principal goes, I don't want more to do. I'm already drowning, I can't take on any more. And they're used to me taking care of it. They don't see any of that stuff. Construction issues that come up, they don't see it. I take care of it. I take care of everything, broken sprinklers, gardening issues, bed bugs. We get reports of bed bugs, graffiti, all of that stuff that they would normally take care of. I handle all of that.
So I came from M&O, so then you deal with the CPM?
I will deal with the plan manager, the CPM, the AOS, the OPM, and the director. With all of them. And if I have to go higher up, I do that as well. So yeah, it's a different position, and when people come in, they're like, wow, and it is, it's busy because every day is different. You never know what you're going to be dealing with. You don't have one day that you go in there and you're not busy from the moment you walk in the door. Plus, it's the complaint department, it's the front office. So when you come on the campus, I'm the front office. And so every day people come in for different issues. It's a popular place, it's very high profile, so we get a lot of interest in the site to come and visit it, to release it, to film there, a lot of stuff. It doesn't generate us any money, very, very little money in that, but it is, there's a lot of interest in it. Any other questions? Are you guys thinking about having an operations manager, or are you guys looking to see what it's about?
Well, I think I was a little confused by the heading. I was
Uh-huh.
wondering in terms of how charter schools can have operation managers and their responsibilities and their location. So I think that's what I was kind of expecting coming in. So.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see the charter schools. I actually met with one of the bigger charter schools that we have in LAUSD, partnered with them to talk. They came to talk to me. Actually, a couple of them have come to see what I do and see if it's worth, I guess, the investment for them to do, partner up with LAUSD and pay for the position. So I think that it definitely can help the schools manage their day-to-day functions. I mean, if you have somebody else taking care of all the big, heavy-duty stuff, then they could really get to the nitty-gritty of what they need to do. Anything else? No?
Why? Because there's 6 schools basically.
6 schools.
So at just one, like let's say there's this co-located place, is there enough there for a person in your position to do? Like, does it justify a full-time person as an operations manager?
If there's only 2 schools, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I would say definitely. It would definitely give relief, because a lot of schools don't have APs, especially when you're smaller schools. So if you have my position, then they take on a lot of that responsibility so that the principals can really, the principals spend a lot of time working on discipline and other social emotional issues that come up at the school site. A lot of time. We have, I don't even want to go into that, but we have a lot of issues that come up in the area. And so they spend a lot of time trying to address that. I can't even imagine my principals having to do what they do and then deal with like a cracked HVAC pipe. I mean, there would be nobody to even be able to do that. So the way we have it right now is that I take care of all those issues. If I can't handle it, then I go to them. Like one of them is responsible for M&O. So if I can't handle an M&O problem, then I go to them and then we strategize on how to manage it. I haven't had to do that very, very often, but, you know, I know that I can, you know. Usually I go to M&O supervisors and we deal with it. But and then I go back on Thursdays, every Thursday at 1:30, and I report out. And I'll say like, yeah, you know, we have a cracked pipe, you know, this is what we anticipate, it's gonna take this long, tell your teachers, you know, et cetera. So if one of the principals had to do that, it would be very challenging in any of the areas. So whether it's a charter, pilot, LAUSD, or whatever, if there's multiple schools on one campus, it can help you greatly. It would help even better if the district helped provide the funding. But if we can't even get the M&O funding, right? I don't know about anything else. Anything else? Other questions that you guys might have?
Thank you.
You're welcome.